So today we are going to learn within sentence punctuation. So in order to start the topic, first of all we have some concept related to it so that we can easily do a lot of questions. So let's see what is the fanboys. Actually, fanboys full form is for, A for and, N for not, nor, B for but, O for or, Y for at, S for sure. So whenever there is a two sentence, that is the one will be independent clause that have subject, verb, object, and if other have a also independent clause that is subject, verb, object. At that time when we join these two independent clause, then you have to be use comma and fanboys. We use comma either for, and, nor, but, or, at. So we see the examples related to it. So whenever two independent clauses, so we have to be note that point that two independent clause is never joined by comma. We can't join by the comma only. We have to put comma as well as fanboys, any one of from the fanboys. We can join two independent clause by using comma only. So we have to remember that point, but only by conjunction or semicolon, or instead we have both two options to join two independent clause, either by comma and fanboys, and we can also join by using semicolon. So these are the main concept related to the fanboys within the sentence punctuation. And one thing remember that we can't use comma before that or after that. It may be useful on different questions. We have to remember that point that we can't use comma before that or after that. And while, actually when you using while in the sentence within sentence punctuation, it means that two things are happening at same time. I know we you will know all this that. So let's see how can we join if there is an independent clause. Suppose this is independent clause and this is dependent clause, then you can join it by comma only. But if it is independent clause and this also is independent clause, then you can only join these two sentences by semicolon. Or if there is an independent clause or there is also independent clause, then you can join by comma, and here to be used fanboys, either for, and, nor, but, or, at. So independent clause and dependent clause is given, then we can only use comma. If there is an independent clause and also independent clause means the sentence which have complete subject, verb, and object. These are the independent clause. Now practice some questions. That is, a Chinese cuisine is more of an art than a science. It requires experimentation, trial and error, and years of experience. Here is more of art than a science. So actually from up to here, Chinese cuisine subject, verb, and that word is object. And after that, it requires experimentation. So when we see experimentation, trial and error, and error's experience, so up to here these two sentences are independent clause, and we have learned that two independent clauses only connected by comma and fanboys, or either by semicolon. So it is the right answer. We can't use comma because there is a two independent clause. Comma, only comma is not um, uh, cannot make this make sentence. So this is a comma splice error. When two independent clause is joined by comma only, that is called to be comma splice error. And we can also use we can't use colon. Actually colon is used for the to give explanation. While giving explanation we use colon, and we can't join two independent clause without anything. Either we need comma and fanboys, or semicolon, or full stop. These three things are necessary for to join two independent clause or in between two independent clause. So see the next question. Despite its glamorous plumage, the peacock is scorned for one distinct feature: its scratchy matching call. Actually here up to this sentence it is independent clause, and this sentence is it is a screeching matching call. Actually it is giving the explanation, and here here we have to use it's not it it is. Actually we don't use apostrophe here, so we can eliminate B, C, we can eliminate A And when we see it's actually these are not two independent clause, these are the actually this sentence are the explanation of the before sentence. So we can't use a semicolon, and we can and we have to use either comma, we have to be here punctuation, so we can't left it alone. And when we see delta, then there is a colon, which means this very gives explanation, as well as we need either here we need to pronounce its. So delta is the right answer. In the third question, the archetype of the hero is often taught in literature classes through three key works, that is, the Odyssey, Beowulf, and the Divine Comedy. Actually, we can't use semicolon because semicolon is used in between the sentence for the two independent clause, and that is not two independent clause. Actually, there is no one subject. There is a subject, but there is no any verb and object. For the independent clause, we need subject, verb, and object. So we have to remember that point. So here actually these are the examples or the of before sentence. So we have to use here colon, so we can eliminate, actually we can see where is the colon, so we can say bravo is the right answer. We can't use semicolon because semicolon is only used in between two independent clause, and we can't left it without any punctuation. We need here punctuation. So Charlie is wrong, delta is wrong. In alpha there we can't use semicolon, so alpha is also wrong. So Joanna possessed the star qualities of a tennis champion. That is the complete sentence here. Resilience, strength, and humility. These are the explanation what qualities she has possessed. So when we are giving examples as well as explanation of the before sentence, we have to use colon. So bravo is the right answer. We can't use a comma. When we use comma here, actually this becomes the series. Actually a tennis champion did silence, strength, and humility. Actually we all know that a tennis champion is not a part of series of his qualities. So alpha and we can't use here semicolon because semicolon is only used in between two independent clauses. There is only when we use series, silence, strength, and humility, there is no verb and object. So these are not two independent clauses, and we can't use comma, and we need a punctuation, so we can't left without any punctuation. So bravo is the right answer. The thieves stole some of Beelzebub's most valued members. That is a complete sentence. And 7 golden line tamarins and 10 silvery marmosets. That is also the extra information. So when we are giving the extra information at the last, we have to be use call dash, and we can't use the semicolon because in semicolon there is no independent clause here, there is no verb and object, so we can't use semicolon. And we have to use here punctuation because there is giving the stress in the sentence. The thieves stole some of Beelzebub's most valuable members. There is a giving stress. While giving stress, we have to need a punctuation here, so we need a dash. And we can't use members here because it will become the series. So delta, Charlie, Bravo is the wrong answer, and alpha is the right answer. Win dash, that is the given. A recent study revealed a dramatic shift in human life expectancy between 1800 and 1935. That is the complete sentence up to here. Women had begun to outlive men by almost 10 years. That is also the complete sentence. And we all know that while joining two independent clauses together, we have to be use semicolon. So bravo is the right answer. We can't use comma because a comma gives comma splicer. We can join two independent clause with comma only. We need here fanboys also. When there is a comma or and, then it will be the right, but there is no any fanboys, so it is the wrong. Charlie is actually we need here punctuation, either full stop, semicolon, comma, and fanboys. But when we need here punctuation, so we can't left without any punctuation. In delta there is a comma which is also comma splice here. By then. So the next question: group projects are crucial for success beyond the classroom. Collaborating well in teams proves essential in the workplace. So actually there have to one independent clause, that is the complete sentence. Group projects are crucial, that is the subject, verb, and object. So it is the independent clause. And here also collaborating well in teams proves essential in the workplace. So collaborating well in teams, there is subject, proves, verb, and that is the object. So two independent clause are joined by semicolon. So that is alpha is the right answer, and we have to be eliminate why Bravo, Charlie, Delta is the wrong. When we see in Bravo, there is a comma beyond success. We don't use here comma. We don't have to use this comma, and there is also comma here classroom. When you use class comma here, then it will be the comma is placed here because after that that is the independent clause, and we can't use comma in between the independent clause. And when actually we also know that when there is a comma like that, there is something, and there is in between comma there is something, and there if the sentence is in this structure, it means that in between two comma there is a extra information, that is called extra information. In between comma there is extra information, and it will become the extra information, but it is not the extra information. Beyond the classroom, for success beyond the classroom, collaborating well, actually when it will be the extra information, although we need here semicolon because there is after that there is a independent clause, so we can't use only comma. In that we see the for success beyond the classroom, it is the same things. We it also become the, because we actually after that it will become the independent clause, and we can't use dash here. In delta there is a semicolon, and that is the right, but after teams we can't use anything else. We can't use any punctuation here, because if you use here punctuation, we don't need any punctuation here, subject verb object, it will be the in the flow, so we can't use comma here, so the comma is here wrong. In question number 8, on their strange American food tour, Ida and Zeb discover three of the country's oddest and most delicious desserts. That is the deep fried coke, bacon donut, and sample three pies inside a cake. Actually, after desserts, actually there is a stress. What is the oddest and the most delicious? These are the examples. So that is the right. We know for the stress, and while giving example, we need column. That is the right answer. Alpha is the right answer. What is the wrong? Bravo. We don't need here comma, because comma is using for the extra information, and that is not extra information. That is giving the stress in the examples. We can't use semicolon because semicolon is used for the two independent clause. That is not after the, and these are not the independent clause from here to here. So Charlie is wrong, Bravo is wrong, and in delta actually there is a stress, so we need punctuation. We can't left it without any punctuation, so delta is the wrong answer. I prefer tea over coffee for the following reasons: a more romantic flavor, a milder aftertaste, and a greater health benefit. Actually, up to here, that is the complete sentence. I know, we all know, but these are not independent clause. This is not the complete sentence. Actually, these are the explanation. What are the reasons? So while the explanation, giving the explanation, we have to be use the colon for the explanation. So delta is the right answer. You can't use semicolon because semicolon is only used in between the two independent clause. And Bravo, we need a punctuation because there is a stress. What are the reasons? So we can't left without any punctuation. In Charlie, there is a comma. We can't use a comma because there is no any. Actually, the following reasons will also be a part of the series. Actually, the reason or not reasons are not the part of a series. That is the reasons: a more romantic flower, a mild aftertaste, and a greater health benefit. So comma is not the right answer. So delta is the right answer. Your facial bone structure influences how people perceive you, and individuals with broader faces are viewed as more trustworthy than those with narrow faces. Actually, if there is a comma, then it will be the right, but there is a colon. We can't join two independent clauses like and, because there is semicolon and fanboys. Actually, we need have only comma. We can't use the alpha is the wrong. In Bravo, we can't use and only. If there is a comma, then it will be the right. So Bravo is the wrong. In Charlie, we can't use two independent clauses only by comma. That is the wrong. And when we read the sentence carefully, then we observe that the after you, these are the explanation for the above sentence or the before sentence from you. So we all know that while giving the explanation, we have to use colon. So delta is the right answer. With only one wish, Gwen gazed into the orb she wanted to see into her future. So up to here, with only one wish, gas and gazed into the orb. That is the complete sentence up to here. She wanted to see into her future. Subject, verb, object. That is also the complete sentence. And we all know that while joining to independent clause, we need semicolon. So Charlie is the right answer. We can't use colon because that is not the extra information, and that is also wrong because there is a comma. We can't use comma after the subject. That is also the wrong. So alpha, in the, there is no any punctuation, we need here a punctuation, so alpha is the wrong, but I will delta is the wrong answer. We have to learn any question through the process of what which is the right answer and what is the wrong in the other options. How can the other options will be right? So when we study like such that, then we get a broad of idea. You are able to avoid a lot of mistakes, and your knowledge will be also improved better, because only giving the right answer is not enough. We have to give explanation why it is right and why the other options are wrong. That is the main theme to learn anything, or that is the main goal and main better uh, better steps to learn anything and to know the concept, deep concept. So we can also teach other people's and the other experience of SAT, so that we have to learn like that. Drinking water is scarce in desert areas like Las Vegas. It needs to be sipped from water-rich states. From up to here, these are the two independent clauses. Drinking water is scarce in desert areas like Las Vegas. That is the one complete sentence. It needs to be sipped from water-rich states. That is also the complete sentence. So when two independent clauses are given, then we have to use semicolon. And other options are wrong. You all know that. You have to revise and see my all videos again, so that we will get a lot of concept why it is wrong, why it is right. For individuals with less melanin in their skin, overexposure to the sun can cause three things. That is the freckles, wrinkles, and melanoma. That is the explanation. What are the result of the exposure in the sun? So there is a stress, and we all know that while giving the explanation, giving the reasons or result of anything or explanation, we have to use the semicolon. So Charlie is the right answer. We can't use semicolon because there is a no independent clause after that sentence, so that is the wrong. We can't use comma, that is the comma splice error. And we can't we have to, actually there is a stress, so we have to use punctuation. We can't left without any punctuation, so delta is the wrong, bravo is the wrong, alpha is the wrong. Readers of Henry David Thoreau's Transcendentalist work Walden often remember the setting vividly: the small weather-tight cottage, thick lost woods, and a small pristine pond. When we see that often remember the setting, there is comma. So in these questions, we need comma here. Actually, Walden is the extra information, and while putting any extra information in the sentence, we have to use comma here. That is the Walden often remember the setting. So when we see the options, in all there is a comma, so we can eliminate alpha from that reasons, because we need a comma. So Walden will be the extra information. And when you see semicolon, because after this gives the stress. And what are the, remember the setting vividly, that is the small weather tight cottage, thick lawsuits, and a small pristine pond. That is the explanation or the reasons. So we can't use semicolon because that is only, semicolon is only used for independent clause after the sentence. We can't use comma only because that is not the part of a series vividly, so we can eliminate from that reason. Charlie, Della is the right answer, comma, and that is the semicolon for the explanation. The significance of turquoise is a recurring theme in Native American folklore. According to one Hopi legend, this stone has the power to restrain floods. This actually up to here, these are the complete sentence, and from there is also complete sentence. So semicolon is the we need semicolon or fanboys rule, so we can say that alpha is the right answer, because there is an independent clause here, and from up to here that is also the independent clause, so we need semicolon to join two independent clause. We can't use comma because it will create a comma splice error, and we can't use colon and end. We can also use semicolon, or either we can use comma and we don't use semicolon or semicolon and semicolon. So Bravo Charlie Delta is the wrong answer. Sam was searching all over the internet for the sarcastic meme which he wanted to send to his girlfriend. Actually, which he wanted to send to his girlfriend is the extra information, and we all know that for the extra information we use comma, don't use to semicolon because we need semicolon for the independent clause. So the alpha is wrong. There is no any explanation. So Bravo is the wrong. Charlie is the right answer. We can't left without any punctuation. First generation college students are banding together to create on campus communities because they find the support system very helpful. So these two are the two independent clause, and we can use semicolon for the two independent clause. We need semicolon for the independent clause because, but there is a unnecessary because. We don't have to use because here, so we have to eliminate because. So alpha is the wrong answer. We don't use colon or because here, so Bravo is the wrong. In delta we can use comma. Actually up to here we don't couldn't use a comma because it creates comma splice here, so delta is the wrong. Charlie is the right answer because here the because is eliminated from the sentence. We don't have to use because here, so because is unnecessary given, so Charlie is the right answer. The natural phenomena known as the northern lights occur when gaseous particles collide at the Earth's north and south magnetic poles. Low altitude oxygen creates a pale yellow and green color. High altitude oxygen results in red, blue, and nitrogen produce blue or purples red lights. So we see that is the explanation. Results: low altitude oxygen creates a pale yellow and green color, that is a semicolon. High altitude oxygen results in a red hue, and nitrogen produces a blue or purple red light. So alpha is already right answer. But what is wrong in the Bravo? So low altitude, comma, oxygen creates a pale yellow and green color. High altitude oxygen results in a red hue, and nitrogen produces. Actually this right comma semicolon, that is the right, but there is not used dash which creates. Actually high altitude we also need here comma for the Bravo to be right, so Bravo is the wrong. In Charlie there is low altitude comma, oxygen creates a pale yellow and green color. High altitude we also need comma here to it to be right, so that is the wrong. In Delta we can't use a semicolon like consider semicolon, oxygen creates a pale yellow and green color. We can't use semicolon here, and high altitude we all like consider, so delta is the wrong answer. Actually we have to remember one thing also. In such type of sentence is given, suppose there is a something like comma and semicolon, comma, semicolon, that is the right series. We can write something like high, low altitude, comma, oxygen creates a pale yellow and green color. But we can also use high altitude and comma here also for the to remove for the right punctuation. We can't use here low altitude comma, oxygen creates a pale yellow and green color. High altitude without any comma, oxygen results in a red blue. So either we can use only a colon for the specific reasons, or we need like in such manner comma, information, semicolon, comma, some information, semicolon, such like that. So let's see the next question. The gatekeeper of the castle allows elves to enter but exclude humans. The gatekeeper of the castle allows elves to enter but excludes human. So actually this sentence are going in this way, and this sentence are going on this way. Actually there is a fanboys rule. Fanboys, that is the but we need a comma. We can't use semicolon because there is two independent clause. But excludes human, and there is a we need actually there is the wrong punctuation, that is there is no any subject, but excludes those, that is the wrong punctuation, comma, but we can't use comma and but, that is the wrong punctuation, we have to use but, comma, but. So alpha is the wrong. Bravo is the right answer. Semicolon, however used for the contrast. Actually these sentences are going on opposite to next sentence, so we have to use however, but, although, like such that. And we also need subject here, because for the semicolon we need here he, so that it becomes independent clause. We can't use comma, verb, object, that is not the, because when you use semicolon, then after semicolon that is must be subject, verb, object, and here is no any subject, so we need we don't use semicolon, because that is the, when we use semicolon here, that is the independent clause. Two independent clause are never connect with each other by semicolon only, or by colon. We can't use colon here. That is it is also wrong. We can't use here also but, like so that. We have to use comma, but, and there is a must subject, verb, object. So Bravo is the right answer. Although their subject matter varied widely, writers James Frey, Jason Blair, and George Mortensen share one thing in common: they disgrace themselves and damage their careers by fabricating stories they try to pass off as true. So we have to find what is the wrong in the Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, which is the wrong and what is the right answer. So when we see that Charlie is the right answer, because although the subject matter varied widely, can't have to use a comma here. James, writer James Free, Jason Blair, because uh, comma is the wrong punctuation here, and there is no any punctuation, that is the right answer. James Pro, Jason Blair, and George Mortensen. And there is also wrong punctuation of comma. Actually we don't use comma here, but when we use comma from, that is the series, that is the James Frey, James Blair, and George Mortensen share one thing in common, and we need here semicolon for the explanation. They disgrace themselves and damage their careers. We don't have to use comma again here. So in this question, alpha the wrong without any reason, comma here and comma here is used, so Bravo alpha is wrong. In Bravo there is also comma, we need here a semicolon, so that is the wrong. In Delta there is a semicolon, but there is also a semicolon. Actually by fabricating a story they try to pass off as true. That is not the uh, that is not the explanation, so we can't use the semicolon here. So in Delta that is the wrong, so Charlie is the right answer. In this questions, the nutritional content of this sports drink is better than that of Caminade. It contains electrolytes that reduce lactic acid. So up to here, that is a complete sentence, subject, verb, object, and there is a subject, verb, object. So two independent clauses not you connect by comma, so we need a semicolon. So Bravo is the right answer. We need a punctuation, there is no any punctuation, so Bravo style is the wrong. There is semicolon, we don't have to use after comma after verb, so that is also the wrong. In alpha there is a comma splice error, that is the comma, we have to use here a semicolon, so alpha is the wrong. In order to do next questions, see some punctuation, how can we punctuate like such that. So sentence boundaries, that is also the one of the important topic for the SAT. So there is a although, even though, when one sentence is going opposite to another sentence, or when one sentence contrasts the other sentence, at that time we have to use although, even though. But we can also use although, even though in first, then we need comma in between them when they are start to contrast. But when we are using in between the sentence, although, even though, however, but, then we have to use comma, but, that is the right punctuation. When there is a however, we can use full stop, and then we can start the sentence. We can also use semicolon and however, and then after comma to start the sentence, but we can't use something like that. Full stop, but that is the wrong, but that is also the wrong, but that is also the wrong. These are the wrong punctuation. But we can use full stop before however, we can use semicolon before however, but we can't use in front of be- before but, because these are from the fan boys rule, that is the fan boys, for and nor but or at. So when you are using fan boys, then you have to use comma, comma, comma s, and then we start our sentence from up to here. Sentence. That is the right punctuation for the fanboys rule. We can't use full stop, then we start from fanboys. That is the exception for the fanboys rule. So see the next question. Due to his crippling claustrophobia, Franklin failed the clown car routine for his entrance exam. However, he was still accepted into clown college. That is the wrong punctuation. Colon. We need either full stop or semicolon. So there is no any full stop, so we have to go for semicolon. So Bravo is the right answer. We can use comma and punctuation semicolon here. So alpha Charlie delta is the wrong. Let's see next questions. This year's Shark Week on the Discovery Channel features the rarely seen sharks of the Cuban coral reefs. Footage includes in water and on water activities with sharks. So from up to here, that is the complete sentence, subject verb object, and there is a subject activities verb object. So semicolon, that is the right punctuation, that is the right. We can't use colon because that is not extra information or the explanation or the reasons. Or we can't use semicolon, and we have to use comma, and if it is, then it will be right. And we can't use comma only because there is a two independent clause, and we can't use comma in between two independent clause, that will become the comma splice error. Though it made many historical gains in space exploration, NASA's Apollo project is widely known for one major accomplishment: landing the first humans on the moon. Actually, landing the first human on the moon is the reason why it is the widely known for one major accomplishment. So colon is the right punctuation. We don't have to use the comma, semicolon, and without punctuation because there is a asterisk, so we have to use punctuation. So delta is the wrong. There is no independent clause after that, so Charlie is the wrong. We can use comma, that is not the part of a series, so Bravo is the wrong. Morocco has had four capitals collectively called the imperial cities: Fez, Marrakech, Meknes, and Rabat. So here actually called the imperial cities. We need actually the Morocco has four, and these are the what are the four names, that is the given. So while giving from up here there is a asterisk, so we have to use colon here. So Charlie is the right answer. We don't use semicolon, that is not the independent clause, so that is wrong. We need here punctuation because there is a asterisk. What are the four capitals? So we need semicolons. Charlie is the right answer. In question number 26, three animals are predicted to be the first genetically modified species approved for human consumption: the double muscle pig, fast growing salmon, and hypothetical cows. Actually, these are the modified species. Which are those? So while giving these explanation or information, we need colon here, so we can go for Charlie. We can't use semicolon, that is not the independent clause. We can't use comma, these are. So Charlie is the right answer. In question number 27, Jeremiah had one goal: to memorize every single word in the dictionary. So Jeremiah had one goal, subject verb was, that is the complete sentence. To memorize every single word in the Oxford dictionary, that is not to complete, so we can't use go for semicolon, colon, but here is a colon for what is the actually colon explain what is the one goal. So for the explanation we can go for bravo is the right answer. We can't use comma, that is not extra information. Actually these are the explanation of the one goal, what is the one goal. So when you see question, these sunsets on Mars are not the familiar orange and red of those on Earth. The sky lights up with blue and violet. Actually, these are two independent clause, so we need semicolon. That is right. We can't do there is no need of because. So that is the wrong. Alpha, Bravo, Delta. According to some sources, Carmen Sandiego had two motives: to fool young detectives and to do all the crimes. Actually, here is a explanation of what are the two motives. So we can use semicolon because semicolon is used for the independent clause. We need here colon for giving the information about two motives. So colon is the right answer. So delta is the right answer. The work plan is capable of many different uses, including stir-frying vegetables and braising meats. We don't use semicolon because that is not here. Including stir-frying vegetable and braising metals is a independent clause, so alpha is the wrong. In Charlie is the wrong because that is not the uh, information about the pen is capable of many different uses including stripping. But we can go for the bravo because there is this include. When we give the subject here, then it will become this include subject verb, and that is the object. So bravo is the right answer. In question 31, with the help of new algorithm created by researchers at MIT's biomimetic robotics lab, a cheetah robot can run and jump over hurdles in its path. So actually there is a comma, that is not the use of comma here, so alpha is the wrong. In bravo there is no comma, so bravo is the right. There is no need of dash or semicolon here. Actually this is the subject, so we can't have to use any punctuation after the subject. So everything alpha bravo alpha charlie is wrong and bravo is right. Sometimes when I have been working for hours, words start dancing before my eyes. This reminds me that I need to take a break. So there is a two independent clause, so semicolon is the right. We can't use which reminds. When we use which reminds, that is means that there is no any subject, so brave is the wrong. We can't use reminding and semicolon because there is no any subject, so we can't use independent. We can only use semicolon for the independent clause. And I which colon reminds, that is the unnecessary, so alpha is the right answer. In vinaigrettes are easy to make since all you need to do is mix three ingredients and vinegar, oil and species. There is the information about what are the three ingredients. So when are giving the information about anything, then we have to use colon. So bravo is the right answer. President Thomas Jefferson had one slightly unusual dream. He hoped to find a living woolly mammoth in the western United States. Actually, from here he hoped. Actually, this is the information about the dream. So when we are giving the about the information about anything, then we have to use colon. So bravo is the right answer. We can't use dash, comma, and no change. We can't use actually when we use comma, then there is an independent clause. So if there is a semicolon, that it will be the right, but there is no semicolon, so it is the wrong. We can't use dash. Hopping, when you use hopping, then it will be the missing the subject, so it will not be the independent clause, so semicolon will be the wrong punctuation here, so bravo is the right answer. For the question number 35, contrary to the popular perception that DNA was Watson and Crick's discovery, its helical structure and phosphate backbone were first recognized by a woman, the English chemist Rosalind Franklin. Actually, in this sentence, we need here after discovery, comma, and it is the information about who was the first chemist, who discovered. So actually they are giving this information about the scientist, so we need here a colon. So we can eliminate colon. There is only one in colon, that is the delta. We can also do that. If you don't know why there is if there is a colon or not, or comma or anything, but we have confirmed here that we need here colon because this is information about the English chemist, who is the English chemist or scientist. So we can go from this part to eliminate all the wrong option. When we see there is only one option have colon, so that is the right answer. So we can do like that a lot of questions. We have to practice a lot of questions to get 1600 in SAT. When we practice a lot of questions by elimination method or giving the appropriate reasons why it is right, why it is wrong, then you have a crystal concept on that very question, on that very topics. This will be enough for your SAT exam. So thank you.